you know what I'm saying? I stopped showing up with you, stop being with you and because I don't want to do the clout PR no more. Basically, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I give people careers. You seen how he went from 50,000 to 200,000 followers, bro. He couldn't do that organically with money. You feel me? I'm talking about like on his own time. When he got with me and was spinning that bag, you feel me?
Stop everything, because this is one of those moments that makes the internet feel personally disrespected. Just when people thought the chaos was real, the emotions were raw, and the drama was spiraling out of control. Chrisean steps in and casually confirms what nobody wanted to hear. It was PR, not passion, not impulse, not a meltdown strategy. And the second those words hit the air, the timeline lost its mind. Fans didn't just feel surprised, they felt played. Like they bought front row tickets to a movie only to find out the tears were rehearsed and the chaos had a marketing budget. Group chats went nuclear. Comment sections turned into war zones. And then Camerino's reaction. And let's be clear, it wasn't calm. It wasn't measured. And it definitely wasn't quiet. His energy flipped the situation from shocking to explosive in seconds. This wasn't a simple clarification. It was a reality check wrapped in gasoline. Suddenly, people weren't arguing about what happened. They were arguing about what was ever real. Trust cracked. Narratives collapsed. And the internet started side-dyeing everything. This makes the petitions look like they're fighting over who drank the last juice box. Because when PR gets exposed mid-chaos, the fallout isn't cleaned personal. And once this story starts unraveling, there's no going back. It didn't start with a whisper. It started with a confirmation so blunt it felt like a slap. When Chrissy and Rock acknowledged that the chaos everyone had been dissecting wasn't spontaneous emotion, but calculated PR, the internet didn't just react, it recoiled. That single admission flipped the entire narrative on its head, turning what people believed was raw, unpredictable drama into something far more unsettling, a strategy disguised as mess. For weeks, viewers had been emotionally invested. They argued, defended, criticized, and picked sides like it was a championship series. The drama felt alive. It felt reckless. It felt real. That's why the confirmation hit like betrayal. Nobody likes finding out they were manipulated, especially when they gave time, sympathy, and outrage for free. Chrisean didn't deliver the news with hesitation. There was no long apology, no careful framing. It landed matter-of-fact, almost casual, and that tone made it worse. The lack of ceremony made people feel like they were late to a joke everyone else was in on. The question instantly became less about what happened and more about who knew. And that's where the tension exploded, because when PR enters the conversation, it rewrites everything retroactively. Every argument suddenly looked staged. Every emotional moment felt rehearsed. Every reaction clip turned suspicious. The audience wasn't just watching drama anymore. They were auditing it. People replayed footage with new eyes, hunting for signs they missed. That's when trust evaporates. Then came her trophy Bino's reaction. And that's when things truly went off the rails. His response didn't look scripted. It didn't sound polished. It was visceral, frustrated, and led in a way that suggested he didn't get the memo. Whether you believed that or not, the energy shifted immediately. This wasn't just about B, or it was about who was in control of the narrative. Bino's reaction felt like the moment the curtain slipped. If this was PR, why did it look like someone was genuinely blindsided? That contradiction fueled the fire. Fans started asking if everyone was part of the play, or if some people were unknowingly dragged into it for impact. The story stopped being entertaining and started feeling uncomfortable. Chrissy and Rock has always existed in a space where chaos and branding blur. Her life isn't just lived, it's consumed. Every moment becomes content whether she intends it or not. That's why the PR confirmation carried so much weight. It wasn't shocking that marketing existed. It was shocking that it was admitted mid-drama. While emotions were still high and people were still invested, the internet doesn't forgive broken illusions easily. Once the word PR enters the chat, authenticity becomes a crime scene. Fans felt like in paid extras in a production they didn't consent to. Critics felt justified, claiming they always knew something was off. The divide hardened instantly. And Zeus-style reality culture caught the stray bullets. Viewers weren't just mad at Chrissy, and they were mad at the system that rewards chaos, packages it, and sells it back as reality. The confirmation didn't just expose a tactic. It spotlighted the machine behind the madness. People started asking how often this happens, how much is planned, and how much emotion is manufactured for engagement. Chrisean's defenders argued this was smart branding. They framed it as understanding the game and playing it better than anyone else. In their view, PR wasn't deception. It was survival. In an industry that chews people up, controlling the narrative is power. Why be exploited when you can exploit the system back? But for everyone else, that argument rang hollow because manipulation feels different when you're the one being manipulated. And this wasn't just clicks. It was emotional investment. Fans had defended her fiercely, attacked others on her behalf, and now wondered if they were fighting for a storyline instead of a person. Trophy Bino's reaction amplified that discomfort. His energy suggested something unscripted colliding with something planned. That collision is where narratives crack. If this was coordinated PR, why did his response look raw? If it wasn't coordinated, why was he collateral damage? Either option painted an ugly picture. The commentary space exploded. Creators rushed to break down facial expressions, tone shifts, and timelines. Every second of footage became evidence. The internet loves nothing more than a mystery it thinks it can solve, especially when it involves clout, branding, and perceived betrayal. Chrisean's silence after the confirmation didn't help. Once again, absence spoke volumes. People interpreted it as confidence, arrogance, or legal advice depending on their bias. Silence doesn't neutralize a story. It lets it mutate. What made this moment especially volatile was the timing. The PR confirmation didn't come after things cooled down. It dropped while emotions were still boiling. That's like telling people the roller coaster was fake while they're still upside down. Nobody reacts calmly to that. The scandal transformed from look at this chaos to look at how we were played. That shift is dangerous. Audiences will forgive mess. They won't forgive manipulation. And once that line is crossed, rebuilding trust becomes almost impossible. By the end of this phase, the narrative had fractured into competing realities. One where Chrisean was a mastermind controlling her brand. Another where she crossed a line and alienated her base. And a third where everyone involved was just reacting to a system that rewards shock over sincerity, that no matter which version you believe, one thing was undeniable. The illusion was gone. The story wasn't about drama anymore. It was about credibility. And once credibility becomes the question, everything else starts falling apart. Once the word PR detonated on the timeline, the internet didn't just react. It reorganized itself around outrage. This was no longer about messy emotions or unpredictable behavior. This was about intent. And intent is where trust goes to die. The shift was immediate. The vibe changed. People weren't entertained anymore. They felt audited. Memes flooded in first because humor is how the internet processes betrayal. Screenshots of Chrisean's past moments resurfaced with new captions like marketing meeting and campaign phase 1. Clips that once felt raw were now framed as rehearsals. Even moments people defended passionately days earlier were suddenly rebranded as strategy sessions with better lighting. Trophy Bino's reaction turned into the emotional anchor of the entire phase. His response didn't feel branded. It felt irritated, confused, and loud in that way people get when they realize they weren't looped in. Whether that perception was fair didn't matter, the optics were lethal. The internet read his energy as authentic collision with artificial chaos. And once that interpretation took hold, it spread like wildfire. Creators jumped on it instantly. Not the slow, thoughtful analysts of fast Twitch commentators who thrive on immediacy. Reaction videos multiplied overnight. Titles screamed, he didn't know. And this wasn't part of the plan. Every raised eyebrow, every pause, every tone shift got dissected like it was testimony. Celebrity reactions followed, but in the most frustrating way possible. No names, no clarity, just cryptic posts about truth energy and fake narratives. Those vague messages didn't come anything. They fueled speculation. Fans treated them like encrypted warnings, convinced someone was speaking without speaking. Meanwhile, Christian supporters went into damage control mode. They reframed the PR admission as honesty rather than deception. In their version, she wasn't exposed. She was transparent. They argued that admitting it was PR showed intelligence, not manipulation. In a world where everyone plays the game quietly, saying it out loud was, in their eyes, a power move. But the other side wasn't buying it. To them, transparency after the fact wasn't honesty, it was cleanup. They argued that authenticity doesn't come with footnotes. That emotions sold as real shouldn't be retroactively labeled as marketing experiments. The comments got sharper, the tone got colder, empathy dried up. The outrage hit a second gear when people started asking who else was involved. PR doesn't happen in a vacuum. It requires coordination, planning, alignment. That question, who knew? Turn the story from personal drama into a wider suspicion cloud. Personal drama into a wider suspicion cloud. Suddenly, everyone associated with the situation was under a microscope. Trophy Bino became the unofficial litmus test. If he wasn't in on it, the PR narrative looked exploitative. If he was in on it, his reaction looked dishonest. Either way, someone came out looking compromised. The internet doesn't tolerate ambiguity well, and it punishes it harshly. Comparisons went nuclear. People said this felt like finding out a reality show finale was filmed months ago, while fans were live tweeting emotions. Others compared it to wrestling storylines where K-Fab gets broken mid-match. Once the illusion cracks, you can't glue it back together without leaving fingerprints. Brands, platforms, and personalities connected to the situation went quiet. That silence didn't feel strategic. It felt defensive. And defensiveness reads like guilt online. Every hour without clarification added weight to the idea that this wasn't just a one-off tactic, but a playbook. The memes evolved from jokes to commentary. PR became shorthand for manipulation. Anytime someone cried online, the replies filled with, "Is this PR too?" The ripple effect extended beyond Christian. It infected the entire influencer ecosystem. Trust plummeted across the board. Hood Trophy Bino's name trended alongside debates about exploitation versus participation. People argued over whether he was used as emotional fuel or complicit in the rollout. His reaction clips were replayed, endlessly framed as either proof of sincerity or proof of performance fatigue. The internet couldn't decide, so it argued instead. And then came the think pieces, long threads about authenticity in the age of monetized chaos. Essays about how audiences are trained to emotionally invest only to be told it was strategy. The tone shifted from outrage to disillusionment. That's worse. Anger fades. Disillusionment sticks. Christian's absence during this phase became its own headline. Silence readers' confidence to supporters and avoidance to critics. Every possible interpretation existed simultaneously. The story didn't need new information. It fed on perception. By the end of this escalation, the chaos had matured. It wasn't loud anymore. It was sharp. Conversations became less emotional and more judgmental. Fans stopped asking what happened and started asking why should we believe anything again. That's when you know a scandal has reached critical mass. When it stops being about the people involved and starts changing how audiences view the entire culture. And as the noise settled into expectation, one thing became clear. Whichever this started as, it had grown into a referendum on authenticity itself. The only question left was what the aftermath would destroy and what it would leave standing. When the dust finally began to settle, it didn't drift away. It sank, heavy, lingering. The kind of aftermath that doesn't scream, but changes the temperature of every room it enters. This is the phase nobody glamorizes because it isn't explosive anymore. It's consequential. And once PR is confirmed in the middle of emotional chaos, the damage doesn't disappear. It rearranges the landscape. Christian Rock didn't just face backlash. She faced recalibration. The internet recalibrated how it looked at her, how it interpreted her moves, how much benefit of the doubt it was willing to extend. Even supporters who stayed loyal adjusted their language. They still defended her, but now with qualifiers. Smart move. Business decision. Playing the game. The defense shifted from emotion to explanation. And that alone said everything. Because when a fan base stops saying she felt this and starts saying she planned this, the relationship changes. The bond becomes transactional. Entertainment replaces empathy. That's a subtle but permanent shift, and it follows artists longer than any trending topic ever will. The broader culture absorbed the shock too. People didn't just side-eye Chrissy, and they cited everything. Every emotional post, every public meltdown, every dramatic live stream. The comment sections became cynical by default. PR became the first response, not the last. The trust tax went up for everyone. The trophy Bino's role in the aftermath became even more complicated. His reaction lingered as unresolved tension like a note played too long. Supporters of his energy framed him as collateral damage in a strategy he didn't authorize. Critics argued that nobody close to chaos stays uninvolved for long. Either way, the situation left residue. Relationships don't bounce back cleanly from moments like this. They recalibrate or they fracture. And that recalibration doesn't always happen publicly. Sometimes it shows up in distance, in less collaboration, in fewer appearances, in the quiet absence that says more than any argument ever could. That's the real cost of blurred lines between branding and personal reality. People stop knowing where they stand. The industry noticed too. Not loudly, not publicly, but in the way conversations shift behind closed doors. When authenticity gets questioned, brands hesitate. Partnerships slow. Decisions get delayed. Nobody wants to attach themselves to uncertainty. When predictability pays better, the chaos might trend, but stability signs contracts. A Christian's confirmation didn't just pull back the curtain. Reminded everyone that the stage exists, that there's lighting, timing, and intention behind moments sold as spontaneous. For some, that honesty was refreshing. For others, it was disillusioning. Both reactions can coexist, but neither leaves things unchanged. The internet's appetite moved on, as it always does, but the imprint stayed. Future moments involving Chrisean were no longer taken at face value. They were analyzed as potential campaigns. The mystery was gone. And once mystery leaves, so does magic. This wasn't cancellation. It wasn't exile. It was something quieter and arguably more dangerous. Skepticism. Skepticism doesn't shout. It watches. It waits. It withholds emotional investment. And creators feel that withdrawal immediately, even if they don't admit it. The cultural conversation shifted toward accountability in marketing masquerading as lived experience. People began asking harder questions about consent, audience manipulation, and emotional labor. Not just about Chrisean, but about the ecosystem that rewards spectacle without transparency. The PR confirmation became a case study. And yet, curiosity never fully died. It rarely does. The same people who criticized still watched. The same people who felt betrayed still tuned in, because outrage doesn't end interest, it refines it. People didn't disengage. They adjusted expectations. That's the paradox of modern celebrity. You can lose trust and still keep attention. You can expose the trick and still sell the show, but the relationship changes. The audience becomes colder, sharper, less forgiving. Chrissy and Rock emerged from this moment. Not destroyed, but transformed, seen differently, interpreted differently, positioned differently. And whether that transformation becomes strength or limitation depends entirely on what comes next. Because here's the truth. Nobody likes admitting PR doesn't kill careers. Mismanaging the aftermath does. The confirmation was the spark, but the long-term impact lives in what follows. How narratives are handled, how relationships are repaired, how transparency is balanced with performance. The internet is already watching for the next move, not with excitement, but with scrutiny, waiting to see if future moments feel earned or engineered. Whether chaos returns as authenticity or strategy, whether lessons were learned or just documented. And that's where the cliffhanger lives, not in another scandal, but in the question of credibility. Can it be rebuilt? Can the audience be reinvited emotionally after realizing they were part of a rollout? There's no clear answer yet, just tension, just anticipation, just the quiet understanding that the line between reality and promotion has been permanently highlighted. And once that line is visible, nobody ever forgets where it runs. Because in this culture, the drama doesn't end. It evolves now before you click away. Let's be very clear, this wasn't just drama. This was a lesson, a masterclass in how chaos gets packaged, sold, and then unwrapped right in front of us. And if you think this is the last time we're going to see something like this, you must be new here. So do what you do best. Smash that like button like it personally gaslight you. Hit subscribe like you're securing lifetime access to behind-scenes chaos, leaked narratives, and breakdowns nobody else wants to touch. And don't just watch in silence, drop a comment right now. Do you respect the honesty, or just confirming PR, or cross a line for you? No safe answers. Say it with your chest, because this comment section, that's where the real verdict gets delivered. That's where opinions clash, loyalty gets tested, and the truth gets louder than any headline. If you're watching this and not commenting, you're missing half the show. And remember, scandals don't take breaks. While other channels wait for permission or play it safe, we stay in the fire. When the next twist drops, when the next that was PR moment hits, you'll already be locked in it. So stay sharp, stay skeptical, and stay entertained. This is Vibe Crave, where the drama is dissected, the illusions get exposed, and the chaos never needs a filter. Get exposed. And the chaos never needs a filter.